Welcome to another Quantum Conversation. I'm Loren Gailey, and I invite you to sit back as we enter the quantum realm, that space of the greater part of you. It is your connection to infinite possibilities, infinite potential, and infinite mastery. We have a beautiful soul here today as we're talking about multidimensionality. This is our Energy Healing Summit series, but today we're talking about how we can create a multidimensional space to heal. We are all multidimensional, and my guest today, Akasha Jen Smith, is here to tell us more about how we can activate our multidimensionality, or actually tune into it, and how that heals us. Hi, Akasha. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm delighted.
This is interesting. You are a beautiful healer and you work with the Akashic records. Before we get into that, I'd like to hear a little bit about your awakening process. How did you come into doing this work? You also channel the crystalline light grids, light language, and you are connected to the higher realms. How did this happen and open up for you?
Well, I started to open in my teens, but I would say I didn't really start going deep into my healing awakening path until my father died, which was when I was 19. And he and I had a sacred contract that when he crossed over, I would really go deeper into this journey. And so I started having pretty profound experiences. And one of the first ones was, so I used to get migraine headaches pretty badly, and I'd lose vision in one eye, and I ended up going into a seizure because of one time. So they were pretty severe, and they would last about 24 hours. So one started to come on, and I was driving home, about 4 hours home. I had just visited family in Naples, Florida, and I wanted to get back to go to work. I needed to work. I think I was like 20 at that age, and I thought, I can't pull over. I've got to keep going. So let me just try to leave my body and start to drive a little, which may not sound very wise, but I was like, I'll try it and then I'll see what happens. So I ended up floating up above the body. And what I could see were all of these trees literally pouring bands of light into me. And the trees don't change colors in Florida, but they were, they're energetic grid, I would call, of the tree. The energetic beings of the tree were pouring golds and oranges and reds into me. And I thought, they're healing me. I want to give back to them. So I started to send light to them. So we were creating these circles of light. And it was incredible. I probably stayed out of my body for about 20 minutes, came back down, didn't have the migraine, went back, drove the 4 hours, went back to work that evening, which had never happened. I would be out of commission for 24 hours anytime I would start to lose vision and one would come on. So that was one of my first profound healing experiences that I just sort of stumbled into. And from, oh, please go ahead.
Oh, well, so I just want to say, you mentioned that your dad, when he crossed over, so obviously he's one of your guides and assisting you there. Did this out of body experience happen right around that time of his transition?
It was after that. It was probably in the year after that, because that's when a lot of the experiences started opening up after he crossed over for me.
Mm.
Yeah, so probably right after.
And so, how were you able to leave your body? That's really, and were you still driving or did you take time out? So you were driving and you just said, I'm going to leave my body. So that's fascinating that we can do that. And I'm going to say maybe some people do that without even being aware of it. But your experience, I mean, being able to see the trees and being healed from the trees, how did you leave your body? What was that like?
It was really just an intention. It was just an intention. I had never learned anything about how to do it. I really didn't know. I thought, let me just try this and see if it's safe while I'm driving the car, and see how it goes. So I sort of tested it for a few minutes and it seemed to be okay. And I literally just thought, let me do this. And then it happened.
And the trees, so many watching and listening, maybe we all had past life as trees, but what you shared there is really indicative of nature itself and the healing of nature. What do you make of that? In hindsight, what what is your relationship with trees? Do you still work with them? Nature in itself, what do you make of all of it?
Mhm. So I've always had a deep love for nature, even since I was a child, nature and animals and the earth. And the earth does so much for us. And I'm sure I'm sure many of you listening know that this is like one of our greatest gifts, to be here with the earth and be supported by the earth and all of the love that we experience from the earth. And often when I'm doing channeling work and activations, the plants and trees are coming in and helping. They're helping people heal. They're helping people create. They really are. They're amazing beings. And when I was in Hawaii, I had a couple summers ago, I spent in Maui, about 2 months in Maui. I had an incredibly profound experience with the land and connecting with all of the nature beings there. And that land is unlike anything I have ever experienced because they knew how to relate to the power of nature. These beautiful indigenous people of Hawaii knew how to relate. And then the Lemurian piece, so we could just keep going back to how profound nature is and this earth is and all that she does for us.
Yes, and not to lose sight of that in our modern world. It's really quite beautiful. And I just want to say that with the pandemic and that shift in 2020, isn't it beautiful how people have fallen back in love with nature? That is a gift from that era, from that time episode that we all experienced together. So that's beautiful. So, okay. And so here you are, you as a multidimensional light transmitter. How did you come into this? How did your channeling skills come online as well?
Well, I was curious. I was curious and I wanted to heal. So I started to seek out, the first book I read was Spiritual Awareness by Sinea Roman. I don't know if you remember her or not, but yeah, she did all of the beautiful channeling, right? Channeling work. And I didn't even really understand what channeling was, but I tried one of her meditations and my whole room turned into white light. Again, I'm 20. I don't know what's happening. And like I'm dissolving into white light. So then I know there's something else going on here. I was having experiences like that. And I was interested in studying transpersonal psychology because I knew I deeply believed in the spiritual. I was living it, but I had a lot to learn. So that's how I ended up going to Boulder and studying at Naropa University, which I full circle came back and ended up teaching meditation in their graduate school program many years later. But what happened through all of the meditation and the contemplative arts is I started to open up and I started to sense my guides. And I didn't want to. I wasn't ready. It actually was too much for me. And I chose not to see and close down. And then some years later, when I was working, again, psychology, I did some crisis counseling with youth at risk. And I was then working in a place for people who were living with mental health disorders. And my partner at the time, who I also had a sacred contract with, said, why don't you come and move in with me? I want us to be in the same place. He was on the east coast of Florida and I was on the west coast. And my guides told me to go. And I said a prayer. I literally just said a prayer and said, what do I do next? And they told me to call this woman who had been in one of the classes that I had repped at a metaphysical store I had worked at years prior, which I was also guided. to be at. And I called her and she said, I just opened a store and I want you to come and do sessions in it. And I said, I have no real training in this. And, this isn't really, any training I got was like through repping the classes or on accident or reading other things. And she said, you're very intuitive. You're the one I want. And
Mhm.
she's the only one I brought in. And so, I was the only one she brought in. And so I started working in her store. And then I did an event with my partner, who was an artist and poet. And I did readings in the back and I was fully booked. I had to go an hour early and stay an hour late. And from then on, it was just full on. And I got more and more training and I learned more as the years went by. But basically, I was guided to do it and I went in resisting. But I eventually knew to say yes and to follow.
Oh, that story is so familiar to all of us. I know we each, in our own ways, feel the resistance, and opening up to it is our own personal journey. So thank you for sharing that story. My goodness, Boulder. I'm from Boulder. I grew up in Boulder, and wow, I'm not there at the moment, but we still have our house and my family's there. And wow, it's so beautiful. Was that the Lighthouse Bookstore?
Oh no, this was actually in Sarasota, Florida, a place called Legion Fields, and they were amazing. They did a lot with people all over the country, and they taught me a lot, and that's part of why I was supposed to do there. But I do remember Lighthouse Books, and I do love Boulder. And how special for you to grow up there.
Yes, yes, yes. All right. Well, very beautiful. Thank you for that story. And, it's so amazing. The Sanaya Roman, so many of this audience has worked with her, and she is such a lighthouse for so many light workers. And so, what an incredible journey her life was, and really very cool that she inspired you in so many ways. And actually helped you into your gifts. That's so beautiful. So, what do you do with that white light? How did you, when you did her meditation and sat in your room and saw that white light, how did you respond? Because some would get frightened or just go into full bliss. What was that like for you?
It's such a good point, the ways we can respond to these things that feel so different in certain moments. So this was 30 years ago, but I so distinctly remember thinking, what is happening? Literally everything disappeared into white light, everything, even me. And it was a little like, this is too much, I think. I'm going to stop this right now. And so through the series of awakening, healing experiences that I've had, some have been absolutely blissful and I love them and I never want them to stop. Others have been a little concerning when it feels like all of reality is going somewhere else, and everything is only energy.
Yes. All right. Thank you for sharing that. So, as we're talking about creating a multidimensional space for healing, how do we do that? What is required? And actually, first, can you define what multidimensionality is? And then we'll take it further.
So I'm so excited about this topic because really multidimensionality is infinite possibilities. I mean, anything is possible in multidimensional reality. And we're going to create a healing space where literally anything is possible inside of it. And so to describe what I'm talking about, it's the no time space limitations. There's no 3D limitations. It's we become energy and light and we can shift everything in a second. And when my guides taught me to do this work, they said to call it multidimensional light transmissions because healing wasn't accurate, because we're literally jumping from one point to another point. They said healing is too slow for what is even happening. Oftentimes, you're literally becoming something different by the time the activation is finished. And so it's really that. It's a place that we can create with our intention, or we can go to with our intention and heal. Anything is possible. We can shift.
Okay, we're going to experience a little session with you. and feel that. And what I want to ask about next is your ability to channel sacred geometry and also light language codes. How did this come about? Like when you first began to, let's talk with light language first. When that happened for you, because many people are waking up, it was suddenly, and some, I've heard some wake up from dreams and they're talking light language. Some are in the shower and they just start speaking it. Others are humming it or singing it or even writing it. There's many forms and ways that it can come through. What was your experience like as you opened to light language?
Well, what's curious is my guide showed me an image of me speaking light language over crystal singing bowls. And
I
I didn't play crystal singing bowls and I didn't know how to speak light language at the time. But I know better than to try to go and make something happen when the guidance comes through. So I just stayed open and surrendered. And what ended up happening was Jamie Price came back into my awareness, the author of Opening to Light Language and the amazing Light Language One. I mean, she really, I think of her as one of the ones who does it, is it, teaches on it. So I trained with her. I did the basic one and I did the Awakening Accelerator, Light Language Accelerator with her. And from then on, it was just completely open in me. And so now I use it almost every time I work with people.
What is so special about the light language? You say that it has codes. So for those who are still deciphering and defining what that is, what's happening with light language? Why is it so powerful?
My experience of it is it really is like a coming home. And I've had a lot of timelines, lifetimes, realities, um, and other planets, other dimensions. So I have a strong connection with the galactics, and I work with the Pleiadians, I work with Arcturians, Lyrians, Andromedans regularly. And so to hear others speak it for me and to receive it, it can just feel like, oh, I'm home. I can relax. I can just be as I am. And it feels so amazing. And so then to bring it through for other people, when I'm channeling, I'm doing the light transmissions, the sacred geometry comes with it as well. It feels really natural. It feels incredibly pleasurable to do, and it feels like a gift of love and light that I get to share with people that they appreciate and can see changes in their lives. So it's a really special thing that's difficult to describe exactly what it is. And my guides tell me there aren't words for a lot of these things in our language. So their frequencies, their light codes, their energies. But when I'm working, I'm mainly working with galactics. I work a lot with angelics as well, and earth, nature energies, indigenous ones through all timelines. Sometimes fairy energies and elven energies come through. So just beautiful light beings inside sacred container that come here to support us.
It's so amazing that you're able to identify that and do it with confidence. How did you cultivate that skill of knowingness to be able to identify an interdimensional being?
Well, I do set up a lot of intention when I create space, which is one of the things we're all going to experience together. And I call in specific ones intentionally to work with. So that's part of it. But when I'm doing the activations, they'll let me know. Like I'll just hear Arcturians, or I'll hear, I'll feel the whales coming through, or I'll have the word, Chief Seattle. Like the word literally will just come in, who it is out of nowhere into my consciousness. So it's like they're communicating it to me while I'm doing the activation.
I wonder about your dad. How is he facilitating this? Is he one of your guides, would you say, or an open door? What's his role?
I was so young when he crossed over that I didn't often think of calling him in as a guide like that.
Mhm.
So, so I know he helps me. I know he's here. But the first guide that made themselves known to me was a huge flash of light that went from floor to ceiling. I was actually going to the bathroom at the time. It threw me off and um, told me his name was Anaka. And then I looked it up and, it was like thunderous force. And, you know, basically through time discovered he was one of my higher selves from Atlantean times.
Wow. Would you say he's your guide, like one of your main guides, this big flash of light that you saw?
Oh, yes, he was the first one who made his presence really known to me. Um,
Okay.
yeah, another one is Sonora. She's a Pleiadian who showed me herself and helps me a lot with the activations. She'll be present when we're doing the healing grid today.
Oh, I can sense that many are waiting and willing and excited for that activation that we're going to get to in just a moment. I want to ask more about the crystalline light grids. Can you share on what these are? Because you channel those light grids as well.
Yes. So we're actually all in one right now. I created one before we began. So everyone who listens to this, whenever they hear it, they're inside the healing grid, which is essentially like a healing sanctuary or portal that we are in. And so we make it with crystalline energies, the angelic ones support, Pleiadians. So again, through intention, it's created. And you can reinforce them with actual crystals as well. And I teach all this in my professional healer program. So this is just one part of many things that are taught for us to all be able to do this for ourselves.
Beautiful. I love that we are able to do this for ourselves. So awesome. And my last question before we go into the beautiful activation transmission would be channeling sacred geometry. What is that? We know what sacred geometry is. And again, is it your intention? Is this what you see as you're channeling, like you see shapes? Because many who do this work and go down this route will start to see geometric shapes. And that's important. So what's happening here?
So the sacred geometry that comes through is part of the light codes or part of the transmission. And when it's happening, it's not always 100% clear what one might be doing. However, I know it's part of the intention and part of the healing that's happening when it's coming through. So for example, I might see flower of life, or I might see people in a huge pyramid, as they're receiving the transmission, or sometimes crosses will just move through them. So all different depending on the transmission, the person, and what's happening. And again, what my guides have told me about this is far more is happening with the sacred geometry when it's coming through than pretty much any of us comprehend on the human level. They're saying there's so much to it, and they couldn't begin to tell me all that's actually happening. And a lot of it has to do with creation and manifestation.
Okay. It's the codes of our creative. It's what we are. It's part of us. It's like an organic substance is what I'm getting from that. It's source code energy. It's source energy. And so, okay, thank you for sharing that. So if we are moving about in our day, and then my last question before we go into the activation, how can we tune into this? What is a protocol that each of us can do to begin to build this connection in our own lives with the crystalline light grids, with our guides? Some may say, I don't feel my guides. So what do we do to actually cultivate that a little bit more so that we're confident that we are connected? and guided.
There's a lot we can do. There's definitely a lot we can do. But to summarize, what I would say is having a strong connection to the earth, really strong connection to the earth, a very strong connection to our hearts, letting our hearts be open, and at the same time, doing what we can to be clear and let our frequencies vibrate at a high enough rate that we can actually make contact with our guides and hear them. Because they're in other dimensions, right? And so they vibrate at different frequencies to be able to connect with us. And so we can raise our frequency to be able to hear them better. So there's all kinds of things you can do. But I would say if you're meditating, you're really connecting with the earth, your heart, and the divine aspect that you already are. These are some of the best ways to really connect in with these aspects.
Beautiful. All right. And as our connection deepens in that way, a world opens up to us and we believe in it as well. And our intention, as you said, is really key there for that. So thank you for this. Tell us about this activation that we're going to do for multidimensional space to heal.
So we're going to do an activation to create this multidimensional space, some of what I was talking about. And another way to think of it is as a portal. So we're creating a portal where the possibilities are infinite, really. The only thing that can limit us is our minds. So if we let ourselves just dream into that feeling of anything is possible, once you're inside the beautiful crystalline healing space that I'm going to create for us, then I'm going to do an activation. And so when the activation starts, I'll ask everyone to focus on something that you want to heal or that you want to create in your life. So so then you'll have that opportunity to do that within the crystalline grid healing sanctuary. And then you can always come back and listen to this anytime you want to do the work again.
Beautiful. Okay. Well, we are ready for this. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. I'm very excited to do this for you all. Just scoot back for a moment. Move this over. So you can just relax. You're welcome to stay sitting with the spine straight. You can also lay down, whatever feels good. Yeah. Bring your awareness to the hips and visualize your grounding tube going all the way down to the core of the earth. And this can be made of anything that you'd like: stone, some sort of crystalline structure, whatever feels good and right for you now. Sense, feel, imagine your grounding tube connecting all the way down into the earth's core. And through this, you connect into the crystalline grid all through the earth. Take in a nice, long, deep breath and hold it. And on the exhale, let go of whatever's for the highest good for you to release now. Now set the intention to release whatever's for the highest good for you down your grounding tube, transforming it into something the earth can use along the way. Just releasing, letting go. And then at the same time, you can receive the beautiful grounding energy, sweet, nourishing, nurturing energy from the earth. Feel it filling the pelvis area, And imagine roots extended from the soles of the feet down into the earth. And from here, drink up more of that abundant earth energy. Sense the slower moving energy flowing into the feet, the lower legs, and the upper legs now. And then feel it begin to rise up the central column, the front energy lines, and open the heart even more. You can imagine a flower blooming in the space of the heart, opening wide to the sun. The energy rises, balancing the energy center in the throat, moving even higher to completely clear the space behind the eyes until it flows right out the top of the head, showering calming, healing energy back down on you. Then invite the beautiful source energy, pure source energy, flowing in through the crown like a waterfall of light. This high vibrating energy begins to pour into every cell, every organ functioning perfectly, your entire being in a beautiful state of balance, as this divine light flows all through everything you are, making its way all the way down through the body and connecting into your grounding tube and pouring into the earth, making yourself the perfect bridge between heaven and earth, the divine and earth. Now bring your awareness to the heart and let the heart be nice and open, whatever is the perfect level of openness for you right now in this moment. And then from the heart up, the energy field of the heart up, extend your energy straight up and out the top of the head, the crown of the head, while staying grounded and rooted with the lower half of the field. So stretching the upper half of the field from the heart up to plug into the higher self, connect in with the higher self. Just trusting that this is happening. Your intention is powerful. And then from this place, we will invite in the angelic forces of light who can meet at the gateway of the heart and are in alignment with the highest good to create a ring of light around us. We call in the archangels to hold the four directions: north, east, south, west, and above and below. All the archangels in alignment with the highest good and it can meet us in love. And as we create this multidimensional space to heal, we see ourselves sitting in a beautiful healing sanctuary. This could show up as a crystalline grid, wonderful sacred geometry, with light moving all around you, or perhaps a pyramid, or maybe even a castle in the sky. Notice what feels good for you, what feels right for you right now in this moment, trusting what comes, trusting that you are a beautiful light being, capable of this work. And now in this sacred healing space, held in so much light, take a moment now to focus on what you would like to heal and create in your life. And it'll just be silent for about a moment, and then the light transmission will begin. Oe han esheke hanna. Huenana ele eshekum wakara hanasha. Oea ala anakara han esherem mo o echere kahala. Ea ene e eshekan no oku wamana ala mahanaha. Ia ele e kira ano o sherem me ele akoro o echere kuma. Enale echeren o ema ashe heneku wama ala ashena aha. Wene e akira o emaku o sheme ale iaha. Uaha ale o ama ana a en a iaku hamahane eshe. Chekasets akara ana aha. Ala kuru ana asha. Hem ana ekiaha. Kue ele eshe amakara hanaa ene ewe emekyu. Huama anala eshe hian. Hai ayaho ama a on u e asham mahakahana. Ekese shenaka emana eshe. Um, Isha ema eta acheren akaraha ala o meshe. And taking in a nice deep breath now. And on the exhale, letting go whatever's for the highest good to release. We thank our beautiful guides for showing up, our higher selves, the ones here to support. We trust that we can return to these sacred spaces when we choose, so that we may walk forward as the beautiful beings of light in this world, sharing our gifts simply by being who we are as we are. And we send the blessings of this transmission and this activation to all sentient beings. And when you're ready, you can let the eyes flutter open.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. That was incredible to witness, and I feel very liberated, actually, free from mental, mental, mental stuff, which this is such a good place to be because our world right now has vibrations that definitely are affecting us. And so by us returning home to this, it's exquisite and it's very empowering. And we can do this every day. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I wanted to say the light language, there were like three different, maybe more, but three different phases of that light language was so different. And that's magical. And those are different beings, yes, or languages, places.
Yes. Thank you so much. And it's such a pleasure and honor to be here and doing this with you all. And yes, the Pleiadians were here, the Arcturians, the whales. I also felt some ancient Lemurians here. Beautiful, beautiful indigenous energy support.
Yes, so beautiful. Thank you for that lovely activation. And I advise our viewers to listen to it again and just notice what you notice. How has your life shifted with that energy? It's very pristine and magical and lovely. Thank you. So fun. All right. So in a moment, we're going to talk about ways that people can work with you and go deeper with you on this journey. But I wanted to also ask you about the Akashic records. Your name is Akasha. And how did you get into the Akashic records?
So my guides gave me my name many years before I started actually working in the records professionally, I'll say, actually giving the readings to other people. And so I had a wonderful friend, I have a beautiful community of women and we all do sessions with each other and share. And so she would read my records, open my records, and we'd do healing in them. And I had such profound experiences that I really wanted to learn. So I was really inspired by my work with her. And then I went and did trainings through the Pathway Prayer process, Linda Howe. And I love that work. It's just so heart-centered, so amazing for the soul. And I love when people can be seen as a soul in that work and all the shifts that can happen for them. It's really humbling to witness.
Yes, it's humbling. And you're a great facilitator for that. So we thank you as those readings help people step into their own. They step into their truth to a remembrance of the great vastness of their soul. And that in itself is really important for all of our journeys. So thank you for sharing a special offer with us. There's a couple of beautiful things in this, including an Akashic record reading, but then other events that people can join you in. Share with us your special offer. Thanks.
I would love to. So the special offer for you all is to be a part of a live hour and a half program on opening the heart and healing the heart. And the heart is so important for our journey as multidimensional beings and awakening and the ascension journey. And even just to be in our own heart frequency, our own heart coherence can heal our body. I mean, it's really amazing and something that I think is important work to be doing. So we can do that work together in the opening the heart program. You'll also have the opportunity to receive the Akashic Records reading and healing and a multidimensional light transmission one-to-one, and then a channeling with the Pleiadians on love, and two channeled light code art prints, one on healing the heart and one on self-love joy. So all of those come together for the Healing the Heart program, and it'll be a wonderful journey. It'll be wonderful.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that. I invite our audience, our viewers to scroll down on this webpage and check it out. You can learn all about that and see the various options for that. And also, wherever you're watching this video, there's a link for it in the description box. Thank you, Akasha. This is really very special. And you're doing important work on the planet, bringing people back to their hearts. At this time on the planet, what would you have to say about the importance of going within like this, of really cultivating our own energy from that heart space?
It's so important. It's so important. And I really feel it's what we came here to do. Everyone listening, like I know if you're drawn to this work, if you're drawn to be here, we're here to be the love and the light, just as humans walking around as we are. And it's really just what we do naturally, if we can just relax and be who we are. And so we all get to support each other along the way and help each other remember who we are and awaken to our own true nature so that we can help everyone else remember who they have forgotten.
And when you think of New Earth, what is your vision of New Earth?
So my guides have been very clear about this. They bring it through in activations, and they tell me it's essentially creating this space where we can just live in joy and love and community with each other and connected to the earth, living simply without a lot of these extra things that have been distractions for us. We come back to our open-hearted, kind nature, and we remember who we are, and we just let that be. We love the earth, we love each other, and we show up, we help each other, we care about each other, and honor all that is, all of life. And we're all so hungry for it. We're ready, right?
We've been waiting. Viewers of this channel have been waiting. It's about time. It's 2024 already. Come on, almost 2025. So thank you for that. And so would it be fair to say that New Earth is a frequency and that we're close? Many could just reach into that frequency, and that's the work that you do. But really, does that make sense?
It definitely makes sense. And I'm right there with you when you say it. I can feel it. And we can choose to be it. We can be it in our own individual selves in terms of the frequency we're vibrating. We can be it in community with just one other person. That's all it takes to be in community, or even in nature. So absolutely, we can have it and we can be in it. And it's also important too to remember in our hearts the compassion for the ones who maybe aren't as clear and able to see it. And if they want to come along, we can help them remember and support them in that too, for sure.
Yes, and what about this notion of we're not here to stop anyone's awakening process, but we can actually assist them in it. What does that mean to you? I mean, so many of us are, the fixers. We would tend to not want someone to go through pain and struggle, but that is part of one's own awakening process. And so we can't do that for them, can we?
That's such a good point. We can't. And a lot of times when people are first waking up in the first year or two, they really want to go help everyone not suffer. And they think if you just had this information that I have, it could really help you. And
Hmm.
really, for a lot of us, sometimes the work is in being with the pain so that we can heal it. Doesn't always have to be that, but often that's what's necessary to at least know it enough to touch it and let it move with love and kindness and presence.
Do you still get triggered? And what do you do if you do?
I so still get triggered. Absolutely.
Okay.
This last week I came out of a silent meditation retreat and I was in this bliss. I was reflecting on what I wanted to share together with all of you, and um, had profound gratitude for my life and the freedom that I've had to follow my dreams and my bliss since I was so young. And then I had some inner child stuff come up, and then I had, kind of the waves of the hormones affecting, and I'm like, who is this person over here? Didn't even feel like I recognized myself and some of the responses that were coming up. And so what's helpful for me in those moments when they're happening is just to not get lost in them, right? Just to let myself witness what's coming to the surface and be real with what's there. If my inner child is hurt or whatever it may be, to just be with it. But to remember, I'm still always this amazing, vast, multidimensional being that never stops, that never goes away. And all of these parts that are doing what they do inside the vastness of me, it just passes like a ripple in water or, like a moment in time. It just passes and it's okay if I don't get lost and swept up in the current of it.
Thank you for saying that. That's really important for all of us. And wow. So I want to ask about that silent meditation, that retreat that you were on. What did you, how was it when you began using your words again? What did you sense about the power of the word and how humans basically misuse or abuse the power of the word? What was that like for you?
Mhm. You know, when I started speaking again, I just felt very aware of which words I wanted to use, what things I wanted to say. And everyone coming out of retreat was so excited to talk. It got very noisy. We were all eating together and I love silence. I've done a lot of silent retreats and I spend a lot of time in silence. And um, I really didn't feel like talking very much, to be honest. I usually create a bit of a window when I'm coming out of retreat so that I don't have to talk if I don't want to. So I stayed in the space a lot. Yeah, in the silence.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I've done that too, and it's kind of jarring, and it just makes one see the mind, and maybe some don't feel comfortable in silence, but there's a deep power to that, and there's the integration of the energies. And so, with what we did today, there needs to be an integration period for this. How do you handle integration? What do you do for integration? Any tips for all of us?
I love that you asked this because it's such an important part of this work, and I think it's one that often gets overlooked. And so one of the things that I did when I created the grid for us initially, and I do this with everyone that I work with, is everyone goes into the Lemurian healing integration chamber for 3 days after the work. So that really helps with any integrations that may happen. And I also added today as a caveat or longer if needed for the integration for people. And what this does is it really just helps things happen with more ease. If there's any integration that is affecting or that we can see showing up, it just helps it happen with more ease and grace. And so if anyone's feeling like, oh, there's a lot happening, you can just simply set the intention to slow things down a bit. And that's okay. Just talk to your angels, talk to your higher self. Could we slow this down a little bit? It's feeling a little uncomfortable. Yeah.
Thank you for saying that because, these shows are pre-recorded so that we can bring them in a timing for people in the audience to integrate. And as we started out, we did 4 shows a week, 4 days in a row. And now we're backing that off. I'm getting that from my guides very clearly because if I'm feeling things coming up from just conversations like this, I know others are feeling it too. And so this is a heavy duty summit that we're doing. It's not child's play. That's what I'm learning. It's real work is being done. What we did today, that's very beneficial. And this is important stuff. And so happy integration, everyone. Happy journeying in your life and being patient and gentle with yourself and asking for ease and grace of it. That's beautiful that we can do that in such a way. Because I know some of us want to take a fast road and get there as fast as we can. But as we live it day to day, that is what shows us, like the reality outside of us. It shows us what is coming up to be cleared, right? That's powerful. And so we have to be gentle with ourselves, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I would definitely say be really gentle with yourself and drink a lot of water. If emotions want to move, let them move. Try not to get stuck in your head about any stories of what they're about. Just let them move like water. Journaling can be a good thing to do as well.
And knowing that it's just passing through us, that it's leaving, right? That it's old patterns leaving for the new heart coherent living to step to the forefront.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And on another note, I think some of what's been going on this past week, especially because a lot of people have really been feeling the emotions and getting triggered, is it does feel like multiple timelines are coming together. And so things that don't necessarily make a lot of sense, even for the current moment, they could be coming from a completely other time that your conscious mind isn't even aware of. So that's some of what my sense is what's happening with the people I've been working with too. So just
That's
being,
fascinating.
yeah, yes.
Timelines that we've created that are no longer serving us. Can you explain that just a little bit more?
Well, I don't see that there's any time and space. So I see everything happening simultaneously, but that it happens in different dimensions. And this may be going a little further on your other question of what is multidimensionality. So depending on what frequency we're vibrating at, then we can be, from what I understand, affected by things at a particular frequency that matches that's maybe from another timeline or another lifetime. But other times, if we're vibrating at a higher frequency, then maybe we're more affected by the other timelines that are more connected or parallel in that moment. So it has a lot to do with the frequency that we're at. But I also feel as they come together as one more, then some of the more challenging or painful things can come in and we may not be necessarily as aware of them. But if we can just let them move like water, they don't have to bring us down so much, if that makes sense.
That does make sense. Thank you for talking about that because, wow, we've been talking about timelines. And then from that summit series, I've been watching timelines and how what you said there about the vibration and the frequency of things. And so this again illustrates the importance of raising our vibration and letting things, witnessing instead of getting caught up in it and making a very strict, I want to say strict command to raise out of that. We're not bypassing it, we're dealing with it, right? So we deal with it, but we raise our vibration from it. Anything to add on that notion?
I would just really second that. Yeah, it's important to be real with what's there. So if there's pain or a little one in you's getting triggered or some past life, fear of death is the one that I'm seeing a lot with people right now, from other lifetimes or
Mm.
other things. If that's coming in, then we do our best to take a look at it, honor it, touch it with our awareness, but stay in our vast selves so that everything can happen within the vast awareness of what we are and not take over what we are, so that the vast awareness becomes small and we only are seeing this one little thing as what we're existing as. It's just one thing moving through all of what we are. So we can honor it, heal it, bless it, gratitude, let it go, and come back to our true nature.
Our true expanded multidimensional self. So beautiful. Thank you so much, Akasha Jen. This has been so heartwarming and we feel lighter. We definitely have shifted. So thanks for this energy work today. And as we say goodbye, I want to give you a moment for Any final thoughts?
I just feel a lot of gratitude to be here with you, to be here with you all. And I just want to send love and blessings to all the beings everywhere. May they all be free and awake to their nature. And may we create this amazing reality together on Earth by just loving and being kind and showing up and doing our work.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I feel that we are getting closer to that, not only in our own individual lives, where many are on track for that, but for the collective as well. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you everyone for watching. Your love matters. Your light matters. And this world has shifted as our light has raised. Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you for listening to this quantum conversation, and thank you for dancing with us to the cosmic heart. As we raise our own vibration, we raise the vibration of the planet. This show is dedicated to you and all awakening hearts, as we are here to shine our bright light and amplify our love. I'm Loren Gailey, and from my sacred heart to yours, I honor your magnificent love and light. This has been a presentation of New Earth One Network, your home for New Earth living. Access information, education, and videos on living from the heart in unity consciousness. Visit newearth1.com.